So, good evening, everyone. Tá nervosa? Ok. Muito bem. Oh, English. So tonight we're going to be talking about this theme on being a Christian. And it's very important. It may sound like hitting the same, pressing the same button all the time, but sometimes it's important that we kind of stop and think about what it means to being a Christian. And that's our opportunity tonight. So I would love if we could, instead of a lecture, I'm going to be talking here while you are going to be talking to yourself. And reflecting on the things we're going to be bringing over from the spirits, from other authors, and see how that fit, in your present stage in your life as far as your faith is concerned. So, what is it about being a Christian? So, it's not a privilege to Spiritists. We have the Catholics and many others that can say, "Oh, I'm a Christian." The real question is, are we a true Christian? So this is what we're going to be trying to explore tonight. So what does it mean to be a Christian? Most of all, is to follow Jesus Christ and his doctrine as we would expect. It's everything there. He brought us all we need to succeed in this journey. And the doctrine is based on love. He came here at a time when love actually had a major impact. When he spoke about love for the first time, as that was not the word that was present. We still have a long way to go, but if you go back 2,000 years ago, it was a major impact. And he came to teach us a lot of things, from charity to justice to humility, forgiveness, right? So if you think about forgiveness, for example, so what is forgiving? What is forgiveness? When do we know we have forgiven someone? What our gospel is going to say is that it means being able to forgive from the bottom of our hearts, which is more than just, oh yeah, I can forgive you. Jesus also came over here to talk about resignation, accepting life as is, and accepting the fact that we are here as a spirit in a body in a given point in time. Actually, that point in time keeps repeating itself over time through the reincarnations. To do what? To do what Jesus came over here to teach us over and over again. And I like to say that we are going to keep in this thing of reincarnation until we find the pathway that was left by Jesus Christ. And that moment, our story is going to change. So, also I put in there this picture of the Sermon of the Mount, which is the most defined poem anybody here in the world can find anywhere. And it set the basis for what Jesus was going to teach the world, during his 3 years of running around in that particular part of the world, to leave us the message that we mostly, that we needed the most at the time and forever. So it's based for all the rest of what he came to tell us. And just to put things in perspective, Gandhi once said that if all the scriptures of the churches and of the world would be all of a sudden lost or burned, if we only managed to save the Sermon of the Mount, nothing would have been lost, because it's really is the frame work of everything. Okay, so what does it mean to be a true Christian, right? Being a Christian means that you are changed on the inside. That's a very important proposition here. It's not the outside that controls you anymore, that's going to influence you, but you are changed in the inside. You change your mind. You change the way you think. You change the way you act. You change the way you do charity. You change the way you treat your family and the rest of the world. So it's a change from the inside. It means your heart has been changed by the presence of God. So, to be a Christian means to follow Jesus Christ, to desire Him, to fellowship with Him, to be inhabited by Him, and to bring glory to Him in your life. So this is, I guess, a great example of what this is was given by Apostle Paul when he said something along these lines. It's no longer me that lives in this body. I don't speak anymore. It's Jesus Christ that lives in me. He speaks through me. So that was, and that is a true apostle, a true Christian. Of course, we don't need to be Paul, and we may be a little, away from that point, but we need to be conscious of which direction we want to go. In the Gospel, chapter 11, we're going to find this about faith and charity and Christianity. Nowadays, in our society, to be a Christian no longer requires you to be a martyr or to sacrifice your life for it. It simply needs you to sacrifice your egotism, pride, and vanity. And you will triumph in charity if charity inspires you and faith supports you. So nowadays it has become, and it is actually a lot simpler, right? You don't become the food to the lions anymore. We just need to be a Christian, to study, to learn, and to incorporate the teachings from Jesus if we want to be a true Christian. We have this also in the Gospel. Not all those who say, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but just the ones that do the will of my Father which is in heaven. Okay. So this is a very important one, for our understanding about being a Christian. It's not to say, Lord, Lord, I'm here, remember me, we met at, no. It cannot bend the divine justice to your benefit. There's no way we can do that. We need really to be a true Christian. And just as a aside here, just like we have Piaget, who did a lot of research and came up with the stages of development as far as our ability, cognitive ability is concerned. So it's very famous in education, and then we have others like Erickson that did the same as far as social development, the stages we go through in life as far as our social development. We also have this guy called James Fowlers, who came up with the stages of faith. And the only thing that I'm going to really bring here is, for us to think about where do we stand here, because he came up with 7 stages. We're going to be talking about 4 for really just a minute. The first stage is about intuitive projection. After you learn the language, you start to learn you have the ability to start learning anything about God, then everything is intuitive in your mind. Think about the kid of 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. Right after that, when you are more into your early adolescence, you get into a stage that's called mystic. So you are in that stage where you learned, you heard a lot about Jesus and God, and you're trying to make sense out of that, but you take it for granted in some ways and say, well, yeah, there's God and He's good and this and that. But you have not really done anything about it, so you just kind of trying to understand what people are telling you. Then you get into late adolescence, early adulthood. Then you get into this other stage that's called conventional. Okay, here is where most people stand today. In this called conventional, it's a stage where this author called, actually another name for this is when you have a tacit understanding of a thing. By tacit, we should understand something that you hear, you assimilate, but you never examine. So this is definitely a stage before we reach the point where the Spiritist doctrine wants to see us, which is a stage where your faith is rationalized, so you understand why you have faith. Most people got locked into this third stage where, I heard the Pope saying this. I heard the pastor saying that, and you just assume that's what it is, and that is not a place for us to stay if we want to understand and progress in life. Achieve our moral and spiritual progress, and then have to be in the next stage, which is reflective, which is the other way to get to what Kardec told us. We need a rationalized faith, where we understand why we have faith. Now, the bad news is most of us, not here in the world, are stuck in the third phase where, for example, even in my office, I say, oh, are you religious? And say, oh, yeah, I go to the Mass every Sunday. Right? And that's what being religious is all about. So it's interesting because until we get to this stage where you rationalize for yourself why you are a Christian, why you want to be a true Christian, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to get there. So that's the importance of this. That's why I brought this. So it's not enough to say, I am a Christian. You can recognize, though, a true Christian by what they do, by their works. I have these two figures here. One is St. Augustine. The other one is Pope, to be more actual, more present, more nowadays. Right? So you can look around here. You're going to recognize some true Christians. You can think about friends and fellows and then say who are true Christians and who are pseudo-Christians. It's that number 3, right? Something that say, I am a Christian. Of course I am a Christian. I love Jesus. So that is not being a true Christian. That's being this pseudo, which is Portuguese pseudo, Christian. So Jesus went further just to do this metaphor that compares, that says that you can only expect good fruits from good trees. Of course, the bad fruits are going to come from the bad trees. So if your base, the base of your faith is not there, it's shaking or shaky, then you probably are not going to be inspired enough to produce all the good fruits that you are supposed to produce. So it says here, every tree that does not give forth good fruits will be cut down and cast into the fire. So Jesus was being very clear. Of course, there are other passages in the Bible, in our gospel, that will, like the fig tree, that will exemplify what he's saying here. So if you're not producing the fruits, then we're going to cut you off. It's a metaphor, right? Okay, this next one, where Jesus says, therefore, whoever hears these words of mine and does them will be likened to a wise man who built his house upon a rock. So this is again talking about this idea that the true Christian will build a house. You know, the true Christian that will be the one that's going to get to the next level in this life here and not here. You know, as we go on through our development stages in our eternal life, are those that are going to have a solid base. You know, again, he's comparing this to building a house on top of a rock, like you can see in one of the pictures, and then you're going to be safe because, you know, no matter how strong the hurricane is, tropical storm, this or that, whatever happens, you're going to be safe. The tide will not take away your house. You're going to be protected. On the other hand, though, you're going to have those that will not pay attention, will not follow, may even hear what Jesus has to say, but won't do anything. That's compared to somebody that's building a castle in the sand, on the sand. And guess what happens? You know, every day, the tide is going to get there and take away part of the house until the house is gone. And this tide, you can think about it as the renewal of things over time. Right? It's taking away your house, and the river of progress is passing by, and your house is going to be gone. Don't want to make it more, it's like frightening, right? But it is what it is. It's a metaphor. Yeah, we understand that. But think about our personal lives when you know what you're doing, when you're doing because you like it. You have your thoughts, your words, and your actions perfectly aligned. You are not thinking about one thing, saying something else, and then doing something else. So you have to walk the talk. And the right ones, of course. Otherwise, we're not accomplishing. And then he says, all who recognize the mission of Jesus say, Lord, Lord, but what is the use of calling him Master or Lord when they do not follow his precepts? Okay, and then the gospel, give us two questions here for us to think about, to reflect about. Are Christians those who honor Jesus with exterior acts of devotion, while at the same time obey pride, selfishness, greed, and all the passions? Are those Christians, really? The other question is, are his disciples those who pass their days in prayer, yet show themselves no better, no more charitable, no more indulgent towards their fellow beings? So it's really a checking point here. Being a Christian, is that what it means? Talk, lip service, like the Pharisees that knew everything about the Bible or whatever they used at the time. But there was lip service, and that was at the end of it. So, and they also was very entertaining for us to read now how they used to, how those Pharisees used to challenge Jesus Christ, and of course, Jesus Christ took every opportunity to leave us a message. Okay? Take the narrow door. Wide is the door to damnation because evil passions are numerous, and the majority of humanity follow this pathway. So again, very interesting metaphor here. There's this narrow door, and then there's this real big door. Everybody can go through that door. It doesn't matter what. You know, it's very open, very easy. But then there's this small one that would lead to, well, that's my time to make some metaphor here, lead to heaven, okay? That one is very narrow, right? As Jesus said, many are called, but few are chosen. Because, then comes here, the door of salvation is narrow because the man who wishes to pass through it is obliged to exert great control over himself in order to dominate his evil tendencies. And few are resigned enough to do this. So, that's something that we need to keep in mind. The door to heaven is narrow, meaning it requires us to do a lot of effort to go through it. It requires us to be true Christians. It requires us to have Jesus Christ inside of us, being guided by Him, and our behavior will reflect that. And not only that, we're not here just to listen to Jesus. We are here to do what He asked us to do. We're going to get more of that in a minute. Okay, so the long journey through this world of atonement, the multiplicity of the existences and the plurality of the worlds, that's the way to frame things here and say, well, but then if I don't pass that door, what happens? We'll just keep trying. You know, we'll come back here and try again and again and again and again until one day you say, whoa, now I can go through that door. You know, as I like to joke sometimes, you know, God is eternal. We are eternal spirits, so what's the rush? Right? We have forever, but we really like to be in a better place, don't we? And that better place requires us to do that effort that the good Christians can do. Much will be asked of he who received much. Okay, this is something that we never stop to think. Or never put things into that perspective. But think about it. For example, we Spiritists, we're going to be asked much more than those that have not had the chance that we have had for many years and opportunities to learn and to develop ourselves and to deploy everything that we have learned so far. And of course, not just the Spiritists, you know, all of those that have learned the lessons of Jesus Christ and continue to study Him on the day after day, and try every day in and out to get better, to do better, to deserve. So it says, whoever knows Christ's precepts and does not keep them is certainly guilty, with an Y at the end. So, yeah. There's no way we're going to get there and say, oh, I did not know that. Right? So even in this world here, right? So if you have a master's degree and you go to jail, you're going to be judged based on your highest educational level. So that's even here in this on earth. Everyone who receives the teachings, either directly or through intermediaries like here, cannot allege ignorance, no excuses. Much will be asked of the Spiritists, as we discussed, because we haven't received a lot. Think about, you know, I can talk for myself. I've been studying for, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 50 years. And I have no excuses. And not much time to go before I become a true Christian. Much will be given to those, I say, well, what's in the upside? In the upside, much will be given to those who take advantage of these learnings. It's, you know, you are not working for free on yourself. Our destiny is to go back to the arms of our Creator. And we just need to be prepared for that. Right. There are a couple of golden rules that can help us on day to day and make our lives a little easier if we don't have time to read a book per month. You know, it's do to others what you want that others do to you. Very, very simple. Golden rule. Don't do to anybody what you don't want to get or anybody to do to you. Or when you are getting that, so ask yourself, is it my fault? And then, of course, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Because, yes, number one is a huge golden rule. And number two, the same, because you need to learn. You need to learn, and how do we learn? By studying, by getting to know the truth, and then use that truth to guide our path, to guide our day-to-day, to guide our thoughts, where everything starts. One definition of true Christian, you know, I don't know how many here knows this guy who died very recently, Gilberto Rustice. He's Brazilian, but he's one of those guys that highly spiritualized and left behind a huge number of books about God and Jesus and all the rest of it, and some books that are just wonderful. And his definition of true Christian was, it is time to bury all those idols we had taken as sacred and go back to a more pure and moral and more spiritual concept of Christianity. The true Christian is everyone man who possesses the Spirit of Christ and live according to this Spirit, the Spirit of Christ. The Spirit of Christ, however, is one of love for all, and such love was born out of his deep love for God. So it's very beautiful. Right in the middle there, you're going to see you will know him. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up here. It shows me two slides at the same time. But it started by talking about us to move from the material world to a concept where we put God and Jesus in the right perspective, which is, you know, something that transcends us, something that was before us and will transcend us. And we are going to be, if we are going to define what we want to be and who you want to be when you grow up. So that's what it is all about. Have that picture in mind, the picture of the eternity and the fact that we are souls in a body. And then it talks about possessing the Spirit of Jesus and live accordingly, which is a little bit redundant, because if you manage to possess the Spirit of Jesus inside of you, then you're going to live accordingly. Okay. We heard probably here in this center, about the promised consoler. We probably heard here, particularly those that have been studying, that Spiritism is considered to be the third revelation, right? And was brought by the consoler. Okay. You go back now 2,000 years ago, when Jesus was, and before he was crucified, and he was having, that supper, and then said, "If you love me, save all my commandments, and I will ask my Father, and he will send you another consoler, who will stay with you eternally, the Spirit of truth, who the world can't recognize because it can see it, and does not even know it. However, you will know him because he will stay with you and in you." He was talking to the apostles, right? "The consoler, which is this Holy Spirit, whom my Father will send you, he will send in on my name, will teach you all the things, and you make you remember everything that I have been telling you about." So, when we are here and we are Spiritists and trying to be true Christians. Hopefully you are getting there. Maybe you consider yourself to being there. Great. That's what we are here for. It was a promise from Jesus that, and this happened mid the 1800s when we got the doctrine of the spirits through Allan Kardec and the spirits, and all led by this spirit of truth. And it's here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to be our guide forever. And it's interesting, though, I highlight that piece in there that says, you will know him. Remember the apostles, because we will stay with you and within you. So those already had received the truth, already had Jesus in their hearts, in their lives. They were already prepared. They were already true Christians. So the good spirit. Now in our gospel, chapter 17, number 4, it gives us this thing here. Spiritism, when thoroughly understood, and above all, when deeply and sincerely felt, leads to the results already explained, which characterize the true Spiritists just as much as the true Christian, for they are one and the same. We got to a very critical point, very crucial, interesting, important point here. So, if you are a true Spiritist, you probably are also a true Christian, because they are all one and the same. And it couldn't be different, because the Spiritism not here didn't come to change the rules or anything. It came to help us understand Jesus' teachings and help us implement it, help us incorporate, help us become it, right? The true Christian. So we are in the right road here to our moral progress and our spiritual progress. Spiritist choice. So there's this book that I love that's called Courage, and it's in Portuguese, but also in English. Translation in English, not very good, but it helps. And in lesson number 46 or something like that, we have a message from the Spirit Albino Teixeira that says, a Spiritist person is someone who effectively assures himself to be confident in God's laws, and then explains it. Optimistic, diligent. So you just don't buy things, you try to understand it. Every time you have an information, like you are having information here, you are digesting it, you are reflecting about it. And it may be, some of you may even go after additional information regarding something that you don't agree or something like that. I do that a lot, by the way. And sometimes I hear things that I may have forgotten, and I go check. So the Spiritist person is someone who effectively assures himself to be understanding, serene, studious, conscious. So, and there's more. But again, we have to keep in mind, what is it about our Spiritist, as a Spiritist, what are our choices, what we are here for? Okay. I don't know if you know, but when you look at the upper part there used to be, or still is, a symbol of the Spiritism. So you see these books here with the thing on top of it? And then when I was thinking about it, I went to Amazon and put in there Kardec, Allan Kardec and everything. There's a lot of stuff there, but that thing wasn't there. And then I went to Chico Xavier, and what happened to that? I don't know how to, it's an image and a symbol, whatever you want to call it. Well, let me tell you how it came about. We are about to see here Jesus talking about the true grapevine. and it's very important that we follow this. I am, this is Jesus talking, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. So he is the grapevine, being illuminated, being guided by his Father. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the grapevine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. So the whole thing is you have all those branches, right? And you have the fruits coming out of those branches, but it only works while the branch is connected to the grapevine. So you cut that, and you're not going to get grapes. And then following on, apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like an useless branch. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciple. This brings great glory to my Father. And then to finalize that, I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. So following him means this happiness, this joy that will overflow. This is my commandment to you. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. You didn't choose me. I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruits, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for, using my name. This is my command once again. Love each other. Okay, so love each other. Be a true Christian. Be with Jesus, and let Jesus be with you. And do that because you feel like it. You feel the need, you feel the pleasure, you feel the safety that it brings to you, you feel your progress, you feel you are reaching happiness regardless of any material things from this life. Thank you very much, and have a nice weekend. Thank you. Thanks.